Things have really fallen into place for our homeschool pretty much since the new year, which I know can be kind of strange because I know that like January, February, March is often kind of a lull for homeschoolers. We talk a lot about the homeschool blues, but for me in my homeschool, that has not been the case. It really has been the best term in a long time. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to my channel. I don't know if you're new here. If you are, I love to homeschool. I love to talk about that on my channel. I'm really excited for today's video. It's an update video. I love updating you guys on how our homeschool is going. I'm actually even thinking of potentially starting to make monthly update videos, maybe as I start the upcoming school year. I'm not quite sure. So let me know down below if you would like to see that or not. So I think I'm gonna organize this update video in kind of bigger chunks. So I think I'm gonna start with kind of general life stuff, and then go through my oldest son and then my daughter. So as for life update, nothing much is going on, which is probably why we're having such a good term. I mean, all of last fall, we were either thinking about moving, talking about moving, prepping to move, looking for houses, all those things that practically made November and December months that we did very little homeschool. We did what I called moving school, which was really math and reading. And so that was just difficult. So really, I think it's anything in comparison to that is a lot better. And that's really our current life, is we're settled in and things are just kind of going along as per routine, which is really nice. Additionally, we've really settled into a good schedule as well, which impacts the first one, definitely. I shared about that fairly recently in my homeschool win video. So if you want some specifics on that, go ahead and go look at that. But I feel like things have really fallen into place, like a real natural rhythm for our homeschool, as well as I've kind of enlisted extra help. So I have my in-laws in town and they're fantastic, and they've been taking the twins one day a week, and that has helped me clean the house. I mean, we still do homeschool with the big kids, but after that's done, I can clean the house, and I was just not being able to find time to do that. And so that has been a huge blessing for me. Okay, let's see. Next, I think I'll talk about family subjects. So that has been going really well as well. I brought some things to show you. So I've been talking off and on this channel how I've been struggling to find just a good rhythm and routine for kind of Bible in our homeschool. My kids are fairly young still, so it's like personal devotion is not quite what we want to teach them, but I didn't really want to go on like full-on curriculum, like school subject. But I did pick this book up. So it's the 1-year Bible for children. And I got this off of, I think it was the Kindergarten Sunlight program. And that program's geared, I think, to 5 to 7-year-olds. And my kids are 5 and 7. And so I picked this up. And what I really like about it, I'll just show you really quick, is it has kind of a 1-page spread of a story. So it goes from the beginning of the Bible to the end of the Bible. And I wouldn't call it like Bible stories. It's more like Bible readings from different chapters of the Bible, and it goes through that. So you read that, and then you talk specifics from the reading, like how old was Abraham when he was promised a son, things like that. So they can kind of pull back from the reading, so they know they have to listen. But what I like even more is it goes into kind of like a discover and apply, where you kind of ask questions about this reading in particular, more critical thinking questions, and then you take it into their world. And I just really like that. I feel like, yes, I could read the Bible to my children, but at this stage in my life, I really like having those tangible questions to kind of bounce off of. No, I don't read all of the questions to them, and I don't follow it specifically, but it is a really good jumping off point. So I have really enjoyed this since we picked it up. Another thing that we're doing that my kids are loving is ancient Egypt. So like I mentioned in a previous video, we're doing the ancient history. I'm combining Torchlight and Build Your Library, and we're pretty deep into ancient Egypt, and I am loving it. They are having so much fun. My daughter will just kind of drop like fun facts about mummification at the dinner table and things like that that are just really fun and enjoyable to hear what she picked up. And we've done a lot of little projects, like we've mummified some apples, we've made our own little Nile River and grew some grass seeds, and we flooded. It was really fun. And since we've really picked up history in our homeschool after the new year, our read alouds have really reflected that. So I brought out the ones we have been reading. So we read The Maru of the Winter Caves when we were doing the prehistory unit, which I'll link above if you didn't see that. There's also The Sunset of the Sabertooth, which we read during that time frame as well. My son is so close to being able to pick up those books himself, but not quite yet, so we just read them as read-alouds, even though they're not the best read-alouds. But anyway, we are currently reading this one, Egyptian Diary, the Journal of Anakut, the Young Scribe. This is by Richard Platt. This is part of the Build Your Library Level 1. And then I also picked up this one, Ancient Egypt, an interactive history adventure story. So it's one of those where there's different paths and you can kind of meander your way through the story. There's pictures. And so this was on the Build Your Library recommended resources. It's not written into the program. But I wanted one more read aloud before we exit Egypt, and we've been reading these pretty quickly. And then the other read aloud, we're reading more at night and kind of when we're not doing school. So we kind of have 2 read aloud times, but we're reading The Little House on the Prairie, which I picked up all of these books. And I know some people really dislike them, but I think there's a lot of history and culture, and for me, a little nostalgia because I loved these books growing up. So we're reading these. My daughter likes it a little bit more than my son, but he is also listening. So we have been doing that. Oh, as for something that hasn't quite been working, so like I've mentioned in a previous video, we've been using the Build Your Library Level 1 Science, and it is a 36-week program, but we started it early, and I'm scrunching it all together to really do that whole program within this spring semester, and then we'll start something different in the fall, which I already know what it's going to be, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm so excited. I'm definitely in planning mode. But anyway, back to what I was talking about for the nature. This book, it just hasn't worked. And I've seen other reviews say that. I like it. I really do. I just feel like we're just not in a very good season to do that well with the twins and with everything going on. But I'm really enjoying the other books. Like there's the Natural World book, which is big and has beautiful pictures. We really enjoy that. The One Small Square books we've been really enjoying. So basically I've just dropped anything that has to do with this book. So that's what's going on there. As for skill subjects and my kids, so I'll start with my 7-year-old son. As for math, he is still doing Singapore primary math. He's in 1A. We're really liking it. We've actually added the Math Live component, so it's where there is a teacher online that teaches the kids the lessons and also schedules out the main workbook and textbook in addition to the intensive practice and the challenging word problem books. And I've really appreciated that because I know that Singapore actually strongly encourages, I think is the wording, you to pick those books up, but I really haven't. And what I found within the one section that we did all of it is he really understood it by the end. And so I can see the value in having all of those resources all at once. And the live program goes through the lesson with the kids, and there's other videos for the parent where it goes through some of those intense practice problems or challenging word problems, and it helps you understand how best to teach it to your kids. So I really, really like that. So I am so jazzed I went with that. I mean, initially I decided to pick up the Math Live program just to take one thing off my plate, just with the twins kind of being so busy at 3.5 years old. And so that was a great decision. But additionally, it's been a great decision because he understands the material better. So it's like a win-win for sure. Although we are taking a small break from 1A only because he's hit a point where in the teacher's manual it says they need to know their addition and subtraction facts to 10. And he just doesn't know those yet. We've tried a little bit of flashcards and it really wasn't taking. So what I'm doing is I'm breaking kind of purposely, and we picked up these books. So this is addition facts that stick, and then I also picked up subtraction facts that stick. And I'm already seeing a huge difference in his ability to retain the addition facts. It just teaches some different ways of thinking about it, some just like visualization techniques that has really helped him so far. So we're about halfway through this. It's only a 6-week program, and I think the subtraction one is 8 weeks. And I've just decided I can pause because when we get back to Singapore, he will understand it so much better. Because really where we stopped is at the section for addition to 20. I could see as I was flipping through the manual that it was teaching different techniques where you would kind of like group them into blocks of 10 and then solve it that way. So you really had to know 8 and 2 make 10, 6 and 4 make 10. And you had to know that really well so you wouldn't be struggling with that part on top of like the actual problem, which was like 13 plus 5 sort of idea. And so I am so happy that we stopped. I think it's a good call. It probably will get us through the end of the year. I'm not quite sure what my summer plans are yet, but I'm working on that. So I will share those with you when I figure that out. But for now, we're pausing for a really purposeful reason, and it's going really well. Okay, as for reading for him, so like I said in a number of videos, we switched from Logic of English to All About Reading at the new year. And it's been so good. So we went into level 1, and it was a breeze kind of for the first like 25 lessons. We were doing a lesson a day. It was pretty quick and easy for him. And then it slowed down, and then we've been doing like 2 lessons a day, but we're really on track to pretty much finish at the end of the year. But he is doing so well. And like I've shared a lot, he is just a little bit more reluctant, doesn't quite have the confidence or fluency. But what I'm finding is that he's starting to get both of those things. So he's starting to just read things on his own. Like for instance, we have logic problems, which are just those mind bender problems where it'll be like, Bob and Sue have black hats, and you know, where you do the grids. Anyway, I should have brought the picture with me. He never tries to read the sentences, but this morning he just tried to read it. And then he found out that he could. And then he was just so proud of himself. I was so proud of him. He did such a great job on actually trying. Like in the past, he was just like, no, I'm not very good at reading. And he wouldn't even try, even though I thought he probably could have done it back then too. But I think this program has really built some confidence in him that even if he can't get all the words, he is trying because he believes in himself, which is just so powerful. And I'll take that for anything. So All About Reading, loving. So that's kind of math and reading for my son. As for my daughter, she's 5, almost 6. She'll be 6 shortly. And we're still kind of chugging through the Singapore Dimensions KB. And we're pretty much on track to finish at the end of the school year. And we've slowed down a bit because it's gotten a little bit harder when it kind of hit the number bonds. And now it's hitting those actual equations where she's doing 3 + 7 = 10. And it's still a lot of counting for her, but it's very age appropriate and she's doing really well. So she enjoys the math program. And as for All About Reading, so I started her in January with All About Reading at the same time as my son pretty much, because we hadn't really been doing too much. We started out the fall with Logic of English Foundations A, and she did not want to do that. So we kind of switched to like an Explode the Code and just working on the alphabet and things like that. So I just really dialed back for the fall. And then in the new year, I was like, well, let's just try again. And since I had level 1 with my son, I just decided maybe we'll just get them on the same program, potentially, if it'll work. And she really pushed back. But with this, it wasn't that she didn't want to. She seemed like she wanted to. The problem was blending. There was the expectation that the kids, for the most part, had an awareness of the sounds. Like definitely it was taught again, but they also had the ability to blend, like ka-ata, cat. And she did not have the ability to blend. That was a serious struggle for her. And she would just get frustrated and she would just make up words. Or she'd just look at me and she'd stop looking at the paper. And so what I did is I paused her and I did like this Teachers Pay Teachers resource, which really helped out like huge. And then she got to the blending and then we just went on with All About Reading and she's been doing great ever since. Like she was totally capable. She just struggled with the blending there for a bit. So I'll put that link to the Teachers Pay Teachers resource down below in case you have a 5-year-old that is also struggling with blending. It really helped out. But I mean, that's the main things I have to share. We're doing a few other things like handwriting and logic and things like that. And that's all just kind of trucking along. But I am in some serious homeschool planning mode. I don't know about you all. I mean, I put out that whole series, which was really fun, but I have just been reading books and making plans and like thinking about what I'm going to pick up and buy for curriculum. And I've just been in it so much so that I like haven't been reading. I haven't been doing very much else. This has just kind of been my all-consuming hobby for this past month or so, but it's been really fun. So I will have a lot of new stuff to be sharing with you guys over the next couple months. I'm tentatively planning to share a whole week of curriculum early June. So look for that. And so if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing so you won't miss any of the new stuff, as well as the curriculum coming out in June. But otherwise, like the video if you found it helpful. And I hope you all are doing well. And I will see you in the next homeschool video. All right, have a wonderful day.